When people have commented on my videos, there's been a gap, and that gap is fit. How does this fit? Is this right for my dog? There's been a bunch of questions on leashes, on collars, on halters, but behind me I've got all my collars, my leashes, my halters, harnesses. I just want to start and go right through them as quick as I can so that the people who've chosen to use something that has worked for me, so that they're going to feel a little bit more confident fitting it. So let's just start with a Ruffwear. You stay there, bud. So this is currently his everyday Ruffwear. It's easy to get on, and when it's on, at the front there's a chest loop, and on the top there's the back loop. You can use both of them if you want. You can use one or the other. I use only the front loop, okay? And here's how it fits. So you undo these top pieces. Those are on the top, that by the steel loop. And you just let that big yoke droop down, and you just put it over his head and swipe off the mosquito as you go. There's a lot of mosquitoes out here today. So that goes over, and this part just goes between his legs. And these two pieces, they just come up and clip on his back. Where are the adjustments on this? They're in two places. If it's what you want this clip to do is to be right at their sternum, right here. And you don't want it to be able to pull way off center. If it pulls off center, then it's going to be back here, and it's just going to be like a back pull. And that's a sled dog thing. That's being pulled down the street all the day, the whole day. So if this is too loose, and this is loosened up over time, I will say one of the faults I find with this is that these side adjustments can loosen up. So you can tighten these up so that there's less chance of it moving. But for the Ruffwear, there is adjustment here to keep the chest tight. And then there is adjustment here. Stand up, bud. Stand up. You got mosquitoes all over you too. Then there is adjustment at the back. Now, the idea with this is the dog's chest curves and gets wider towards the front. So we fix this back so that it's lower on the curve so that it resists pulling forward, right? And the idea with this is we don't want it rotating. The biggest thing we don't want is it rotating all the way so that it's by his side again. All right, that's it. So I like the Ruffwear because it has a whole bunch of adjustment. It has adjustment for the front piece. It has adjustment for the back piece. I also like the Ruffwear because the shoulder is free. Okay? All right. Let's pop that off. Ooh, there we go. And this one is gone. So, close on the heels of that. And this is the one that one of the people who watched the video was struggling with. This is the EZYdog. At first, it's kind of a monster to get on because it's confusing. The light part goes under their chest. The black part comes over their back and in front of their chest. And that's where that ring is, that front pull ring. I only undo the bottom part on this. I leave the top part closed. So the bottom part comes open. I've then put the black loop over their head with the ring that the leash is going to attach to out front. So it just goes over their head. Okay? And then the light strap comes under their body, behind the legs, and attaches. Now, this has the same issues. You can tighten up the back, you can tighten up this strap, you can tighten up that strap. If you get in a place where you've tightened everything up and this is still super loose, then you've got too big. This is an XL. He's a 110-pound golden retriever. If this was tightened all the way up and it was still loose, then I'd go down to a large. So ideally you go into the store and get this fit. I like this a lot. I do use it. The only thing I don't like is how it comes down lower on the shoulders. You can tighten that up, and loosen this up, but then I find that the front moves a bit more. So I like this a lot. I do find that it impinges on the shoulders a bit more, but I do like it. And this is the EZYWalk. I like this. I like this harness. I like it because it's got a big place to put his name. I like it because it's so tough looking. This is a Julius K9 back pull harness. I like how it looks, but when he pulls on this, it's all I can do to hold on to him, especially if he takes me by surprise. So I'll show you how to put it on. Basically just try and keep it away from the joints and get it tight to the chest. Another thing I don't like about these is they can pull out of them sometimes. Depends on your dog, but if they pull backwards, it's easier for them to get out. So this one, you just open the strap. There's only one thing to open permanently. Just pop it over their head. Underneath, it's great for canoeing. I will say that. It's great for canoeing because it's got this handle that you can just pull them into the canoe. It fastens under. If it's too tight in here, loosen off the front, pull it back. But I find if you loosen this off too much, then this can loosen and they can pull it. I like them. I like how it looks. I like it for canoeing. I don't like it for walking. All right. Very similar. Popular online. EZYdog. Here, bud. I know. Same deal. Up you get. Under the chest. It's the same idea. This one is a little different though, and it has a pull on the side as well. And it also has some places where you can put straps for bags and things like that. Again, if your dog's walking super well and you just want to be able to grab them from time to time, or when you're canoeing or something like that, it's nice, but I mean, this is old and it looks brand new. It's because I haven't used it. It really hasn't worked. Okay, the Julius K9 I've used in the canoe a lot, but I have that. Why? Anyway, I haven't used it. Let me talk briefly about collars. I really like Martingales, and I like Martingales because if you fit these properly, even if your dog has a very narrow head, they cannot slip out of these, because what happens is when it pulls, it tightens. It doesn't tighten a lot, but it tightens, right? And a regular flat collar, if it's a bit on the loose side, a dog with a narrow head, if they back out of the leash, they can get out. So the things to look for, you can get these slip overhead, which means they have to be a bit wider when you put them over the head, and then they close up when you pull on the leash. The thing I don't like about that is that it's already wider than the widest part when you put it on. So it's already somewhat loose. The thing I do like about it though is that there's no clasp, and the weak point in any of these systems are these clasps, and a lot of them these days are plastic. Now, they're strong plastic. And that said, I've never had one fail, but they're still plastic. So there's two types of these. This is our go-to. This is the one he wears every day. Good place to put their license. Good place to put an air tag in case he ever got lost. I like it so you can have them with the loop that tightens. They come in various amounts of tightening, but they also come in fabric. And this was our first one, or they come in chain. And the chain one, it kind of gives a signal to the dog because it makes noise when it tightens that the leash is about to get tight. I don't like the chain. I like the fabric one. And the way you put these on is when you fasten it, come here, bud. You want it snug. When I say snug, I don't mean tight choking. I mean, you can get some fingers under here, but that's about it. You really can't get much more under. And that way, if your dog has a very narrow head, when you pull on this, come here. When you pull on this, see, look, it's It's at its limits right now, this part that can contract. It's at its limits, but when you pull, it gets tighter. When a dog has a narrow head and smaller bones, like greyhounds, for instance, when you pull on the leash, it just closes up that much more so that if they back up, they cannot back up out of this collar. If I don't have something here, it's because I don't use it. I do have a lot of other things in my bags that I've bought for either demo or to see how they work. I've got choke chains, I've got slip leads, I've got prong collars, but I'm not going to show you those because I don't use those. What I could use is mosquito repellent. Okay, so that's those collars. Let me move to head collars. So I started years and years ago with my border collies with Haltis for obedience, not for sheep herding. They need nothing for sheep herding, but for obedience, for walking the streets. This goes over the nose. This part goes around the back of the head, high up behind the ears. Now these Haltis are more structured. They've got two bands really that go over the muzzle, and they've got a strengthening part between those two, okay? These are very effective. The dog really feels it on their face, and if you have a super reactive, strong dog, I would say if you're going with a head collar, start with this. Of all the tools I've seen, the head collar is the one that has the biggest effect right away, and I would say 80% reduction in pull. So I started with these, and there are two versions of this. There you can see this part does rest on their nose, and you can see they've got two versions. This one has a wider band on it, so there's more padding underneath, so it's easier on the nose. This one has padding too, but it's narrower, so it'll put more pressure. Very, 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 very effective. I like these a lot, and I'll show you how one goes on here. Sammy, come here, let's put this on. Now, obviously this guy's had them on his face a whole bunch because he really doesn't care that I'm putting it on. But when we talk about fit for these, this one, you just want to be able to pull it up as far as the fleshy part of the nose. And otherwise, the nose strap is what you get. It's not adjustable. And then high up behind the ears for the main collar part, and just a couple of fingers underneath at most, okay? And the idea is when you pull, because it's tight on the neck and won't slip, it's high above the trachea, it's high up on the head, so it has a feeling to it, so the dog feels it, but it's also away from anything that involves swallowing, breathing, etc. But the idea is you don't want it slipping way over to the side. So get the back of these good and tight. When you pull on these, the idea is you're turning the dog's head away from the stimulus. So when you pull on the leash, do not pull back along the body. So it attaches underneath. Lift your head, bud. Attaches under here. When you pull to the side, okay? Out sideways. He's looking at something and he doesn't want to look, but pull to the side. Don't pull back along their body. Pulling back along their body has far less effect. Pull it to the side. That is the Halti, and I used this for years and years and years and years and years. This is the Gentle Leader. The Gentle Leader is less structured. It's got two loops, and it's got the strap to go behind the neck, so very similar to the Halti. I like these better. It gives the dog more ability to pant, to drink, to bite. They can still do that with the Halti. Just I find this is even easier for them to do, to live their life while still wearing the collar, okay? The same fit issues, I'm going to fit the black one because the black one shows up on his fur. The reason I have the beige is because it's close to his fur color, and because people, when they see, you stay here, bud, I know it's mosquitoes. The reason I've got beige with him is because when people see something around their nose, they immediately think muzzle. And I get so many questions about muzzle, and some of them are kind of nasty questions. Why is your dog wearing a muzzle? So I went beige and fewer people notice it, but I'm gonna fit with the black one. This is actually my wife's. So when you get these in the box, they come and they look like a balloon. And the nose piece is actually has fallen down inside. So stay there, bud. So the nose piece is, you just pull it up through the clasp in the middle, and then it's that piece that you've pulled up that goes over the nose, and the clasp goes around the back of the neck. Okay, that's all there is to it. Now there is adjustment around the neck, just like with the Halti, but unlike the Halti, there's also adjustment down for the nose piece. Okay, so I'm going to pop this on him again. This isn't his first Gentle Leader rodeo, so he doesn't mind it at all. So, fit on these. Come here, Buzz. Oh, I know, you're not just gonna fall asleep here. Look, look. So, fit on these. This piece has to be able to pull up to the fleshy part of their nose. So they're actually pretty darn loose. And if you give a good pull, you can just pull it right off, okay? So the way you control that pull to the end of the nose, the fleshy part, is just, lift your head, bud. It's just with this clip underneath, all right? If you tighten that up, pull the strap through, then it gets tighter. The crucial part with this one, the same as for the Halti, is the behind the neck part, okay? And can you see this? I think you can see it. Yeah, you can see it. Come here, lift your head, bud. So this part, you can see it's up behind his ears at the base of his skull. And that's the part that has to be tight. Again, it's above, for me, the Adam's apple, but above it's right at the joint of the neck and the head, and it's high up behind the ears. And again, when you attach these, mosquito, attach these, the pull is out to the side. It's not back along the body, all right? And like, so effective, so effective. Now, if you have a dog that's pulling and is super crazy, super strong, and hasn't learned any leash manners yet, there is an additional piece. Where is it? Here it is. This little guy. And this is your safety catch. So there are fail-safes. There are fail-safes on the Gentle Leader, for instance. If it comes off the nose, okay, you will, when it pulls, it'll just turn into a collar. Yeah, just turn into a collar that's fixed around their neck. So you're not going to lose your dog if that happens. Now that said, these are not big, robust pieces of equipment. These have small catches on them. If you're talking 100+ pound dog, these are very small plastic catches, okay? So look, I'll put this back on. Here, bud. Let's put this on again. And what this little piece is, where did I put it? What this little piece does is you just loop it through the loop on the Gentle Leader where the leash would normally go, and then you clip it back to the Martingale Collar, okay? And then you just hook up as normal in the same place you would normally hook up on the Gentle Leader. But if anything happens, you've got two levels of backup. You've got one that the Gentle Leader becomes a collar on its own, a regular around the neck collar, and it's linked directly into their main collar, okay? Which, if you're smart, is a martingale that's fit properly so that no matter what, your dog's not going to get away. Let me just quickly talk leashes. If your dog's big and strong and is always pulling, and you're in the middle of training and you're trying to teach them, I would just go with a 6-foot leash. I would make sure that everything, all the hardware on it is metal. There is, and it's a school of thought, I think they're just looking for more money, but that says that these specialty clips are heavier duty, and for a big dog that these are the only way to go. I don't know. These clips are fussier and heavier, and I don't use that leash even though I bought it to try it. I'm I just stick with the regular ones. Now that said, I put a drop of WD-40 in them from time to time so that they work well, and I make sure they're metal and I make sure they're strong clips. I prefer for a big dog to have this loop down at the bottom, because that's something when I need to be in close quarters with another dog or another person. Stay, bud. I know. With another person, that I've got something even closer to them to grab, okay? I think this makes a big difference. Other than that, this is straight. This has no bungee in it, right? So there's no shock absorption. I like shock absorption because if there's habitual pulling, it's easier on us. However, it's less control, it's less message that you're sending to the dog when you want them to feel that you're changing direction, that sort of thing. But I would say don't go any longer than a 6 foot with a dog you're struggling with, and don't ever go longer than a 6 foot with a head collar, because if a dog hits the end of a long leash on a head collar, their head's going to turn suddenly, and that could injure their neck. So I like the regular 6 foot with the loops, okay, to grab closer. I do have the same thing with the loop down low. This one, it's pretty worn now, so the bungee's all stretched out, but it's got a bungee in it. This particular one is made by the brand is Kong, and what I do like about these is it's all metal clasp, but the buckles that are on it are also steel, which I like that they make them with something other than plastic, because plastic and UV don't go well together. This one has a bungee. I like this for every day, and that's why it's so worn looking. It gets used. Myth busting around these things. Retractable leashes are very handy, and there's some beliefs around them. So they're handy because the leash rarely gets tangled in the dog's legs. It rarely gets wrapped. It's always got some tension in it. Most trainers will say that having that tension teaches your dog to pull into tension. I'm not sure I'm going with that, because I find once a dog has learned to give to tension and to be polite on the leash, that this extra little pull doesn't matter. But there are a number of issues with these things. One, if it gets out and your dog sees something and goes for it, they don't reel in as fast as maybe you'd like, and people have a tendency to grab them with their hands. People have also been known to lose fingers because a big dog really pulls, and I've got one client who had a finger actually broken. They have a big cane corso. Never grab these things with your hands. You reel the dog in. You can lock them, so they push, and you can push the little button and it locks it in place, okay? So you could use it like a conventional 6 foot leash, right? It's locked in place and it could be used as one. They're super handy. They really are. But there are dangers to them, okay? You need to pay attention when you're walking with it. If your dog starts zooming around and going around people's legs, they can get burns from these. Just be super careful if you're going to use one. Yes, they're handy. This is a long one. This is 8 meters. I would get a shorter one if it's your first one. Yeah, I like them, but be cautious. You can go with longer straight leashes, and there's these Elastothane leashes that I'm seeing being sold more and more. I do like these a lot. This is the one that my wife uses. This is Elastothane. It's 10 feet long. And she just likes that little bit of extra length to give him some freedom to sniff and that sort of thing. The thing I like about Elastothane is that it doesn't soak up water. So if you're walking on rainy days and that sort of thing, the leash comes home, you dry it off with a towel, and then the whole thing's dry. I do like that aspect of it. And I've got a bunch of long leashes, but guess what? You can get them in Elastothane as well. And so for long leashes, when you're teaching your recall, using an increasingly long line is a great way to teach your dog that when you call, they're going to come no matter what. And these Elastothane ones, out in a field, soaking grass, that sort of thing, there's just less mess and water to deal with when you're finished. I think this one's a 50 footer. I've got a 100 footer. Sometimes I'll string them together when I'm working on really long recalls, but I really like these. And again, you always have to be careful what happens when your dog runs at top speed towards the end of one of these, because they're going to stop when they hit the end if you're on this end. And you don't want them doing that at top speed. So there's a caution with long leashes. I think that's all of my stuff. If you're having trouble fitting a harness, go to the store if you can. If you can't, realize that if you tighten it up to the point where it's still loose, it's not going to work well for you. You've probably got one that's too big, okay? If it's constraining their joints, you've probably got one that's too small. With the gentle leaders, the big thing is that that loop only comes to the fleshy part of their nose and that it's high up behind their neck and tight. Use the safety link that I was talking about, this one that attaches to their collar from the gentle leader. Use that, especially if you've got a dog that pulls a lot and you're going to be in a place where there's lots of distractions. It's good to have all the backup that you can get. So I hope that helps for the people who've watched all the different leashes and different collars that we've been trying and we've been showing the advantages of, because the fit is something that people have been struggling with. If there's any questions, drop them in the comments. I look at all of them and I answer all of them. I'm John, this is Sam, this is Thoughtful Paws. See you later.